All right, so here we are on the Snail Trail website. Very cute and fun and entertaining. I love the design of this site. I love the design of the game. So you can see they've got like their links here for you to join Discord, but sort of like Snail Trail from a bird's eye view. They call it the first play to earn racing game in the Avalanche ecosystem. And I think it actually is. I've done a little bit of research on that. Other racing games, notably on Avalanche, include Meta Derby, a horse racing game. But yeah, so they use NFTs as in-game assets, just like most of these crypto games do. But you essentially want to get your snail, compete in races, breed snails, and earn slime. Slime is the native token. So here they got a little bit more about play to earn, and they call their snails the athletes, which I think is just too cute, too fun. Here, right, what they're showing you right here is actually the family that the snails belong to. And family is one of the determining factors in your snail's performance. So when you're picking up a snail, you want to consider its family when you get one off the marketplace. So we're going to do a white paper breakdown, and I'll go ahead and show you the most important points from the white paper. Before we do that, I want to show you what we put together at GameFi. For example, here we have a white paper breakdown of Snail Trail. So a lot of the time these projects are developed a while back before they launch their NFTs, before they launch their tokens, and the white papers can be a little bit out of date. So what we do is in these kind of white paper breakdowns and these quick guides, we break down everything that you need to know in the white paper in much more digestible format. So we let you know like the basic info, like who the team is, what blockchain, all that kind of stuff. We also give you the quick play guide on how to get started playing immediately. If you're just interested in playing, we list socials and do like fun intros and stuff like that. But as soon as we do that, we break down directly what you need to know to start playing and what information you need, especially for like NFTs and tokens and gameplay. Because what you're going to want to do is try to optimize, obviously, your in-game rewards. So you can check out either our white paper breakdown with all this kind of information. This tells you, all the performance factors. Down here it tells you about appearance, which is, just cosmetics in this game, but it's not in every other game necessarily. So you want to check that out for yourself. So yeah, we've got all the information here. Down here further, you can see things like tokenomics. So we've included the tokenomics, token distribution, things like that. Later, we're going to do some breakdowns and some sort of like return analysis on those sorts of games. So check out that, or the quick guide, which has an even more compact version of how to start playing the game, what you can expect to pay to start playing, things like that. So, all right, let's take a look at the white paper. They have a cute way to get you into playing the game immediately. It rhymes, it's fun. So you'll connect your wallet, buy a snail, race in a trail, reproduce, and prevail. And it really is as simple as that. The algorithms in the game are a little bit complicated, but getting started and getting playing is pretty simple. So we won't go over connect your wallet. If you don't know how to connect your wallet, we can link some guides for you to do that. So to get snails, to obtain snails, you're going to want to go to the marketplace. So there's a couple of places that you can get snails, either on the Snail Trail marketplace itself or on secondary marketplaces like Kalau, NF Trade, and JoePegs. JoePegs is actually the Trader Joe exchange, decentralized exchange, which is one of the top 10 decentralized exchanges in crypto right now. That is their NFT marketplace. And then Kalau is probably the biggest on Avalanche, with NF Trade coming in maybe second or third now. So you can go to any of those four places, including the Snail Trail NFT marketplace to pick up your snails. I personally like the Snail Trail marketplace because they have great looking, versions of the snails with all the information you need. You can see race history, which you can't necessarily see on these other marketplaces. So generally the project's marketplace will be set up better for picking up your NFTs and getting the most information possible. So when it comes to snails, basically, like we said, you need to get your snail NFTs to start racing. And there's a couple different traits you need to look at. The four traits that you need to look at are family, class, generation, and adaptation. These have different levels, different weights of effect on performance. But just briefly, family is sort of like the genetic makeup of a snail as 20 genes, and sort of like the order of those genes and the most dominant genes determine that snail's family. So the strongest snails are Atlantis snails. Down from there, you have agate, milk, helix, and garden. Gardens will be the weakest snails by family. Family has the heaviest weight on a snail's performance. So if you're looking to pick up a snail, definitely consider the snail's family and try to get a higher family snail. As far as purity goes, purity has to do with basically the counts of the genes in a genetic sequence. So we don't have to get too much into it, but the most common gene and how many times it's seen in a genetic sequence determines its purity. You can see that on the NFT marketplace, which I'll show you in just a bit. But the lowest is 4 and the highest is 20. Most snails you'll see are around, like 10 average. All right, so class is another factor affecting performance, and class is sort of like the launch time of the NFT or the launch specialization of the NFT. So Genesis here at the top and Special here at the bottom are unique. Genesis are like the OG Snail NFTs, and you'll see a lot of projects do this. As far as Special are given away during special events as like marketing events or awards, stuff like that. So the team will reserve these special snails for different events. I think we're yet to see any of those come out, but it'll be kind of hype when those do happen. As far as the other 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 classes, they're available in game, and you can pick those up at any time. So you can just pay attention to what a snail's class is. Genesis snails are on the marketplace occasionally. They're a little bit harder to find for sure. I think a lot of people hold on to their Genesis snails. So I wouldn't be too tied to getting a Genesis, but it is nice to get a higher class snail for sure. This is the second highest weight as far as snail performance goes. For generation, essentially what you need to know is when snails breed, they go down the family tree. And the further down the family tree they are, the sort of like lower the snail's strength is. Most of the snails you'll find on the marketplace have a pretty large generation score, and in that the number is a little bit too high. You want like a lower number generation, like first generation is better, whereas like 20th generation means these snails are bred and the project breeds down. So the NFT that you get from breeding, the snail NFT, will generally be weaker than its parents. And that's how most of these breeding mechanisms work across games. But generation is one of the lesser factors when it comes to snail's performance, so you don't need to worry about it too much. As far as adaptations go, each snail has 3 adaptations, and you can see that broken down pretty well in our guide here. So here we have a list of adaptations, and you can see these performance factors we've broken down into little charts here and tables here, where you can see how strong the weight is of these different racing traits are for the snail's performance. So if you go down here to adaptations, you can see that snails can unlock a total of 3 adaptations. They're born with 1. The second one they get at level 5, and the third adaptation they get at level 15. You have to unlock adaptations by doing competitive races, and we'll talk about that a little bit more later. But essentially, you getting adaptations to match to the track conditions will mean that your snail has a better performance. So you do eventually want to unlock all your adaptations, but you need to figure out some things first before you start racing in competitive races, so that you aren't losing too much slime token and you're able to make some slime token back. And daily missions are free entry, whereas competitive races are paid entry. So you do want to kind of get some records and some data first before you start entering competitive races and figuring out things like adaptations. But we'll move past that for now. As far as appearance goes, appearance is just cosmetics, visuals, except the body types. The snail's shell type and shape determines what family it is, or it indicates what family it is. So Atlantis have these sort of pyramid shapes. Agates have a triangular, sort of like backwards leaning shape. Milk has a circular shape, and depending on the design, these can all look a little bit different. They're really cute. I think we calculated there's over like a few billion possibilities of snails because there's like over 70 something different visual traits that can be applied. I think eyes can have variations, mouth can have variations, shell can have variations. I think there's like a couple other traits, yeah, like even body type. So Helix has an oval shape and Garden has a circular shape. So that's kind of just a quick guide to seeing how snails work. Like we said, visual traits, yeah, the nostrils, the shell, the top, the bottom, the side, all of these have possible trait counts. And we did the math on that. You can see that in our white paper breakdown as well. So those are kind of fun. As far as colors go, they do color variations for shell and body at least. I think maybe also a couple other visual traits do have color variations. Okay, as far as leveling goes, we talked about a little bit about leveling with adaptations. Essentially, what you want to take away from here is from level 2 to 10, you need 250 XP to level up. At level 11 plus, you need a multiplier to level up. So once you hit level 11 to try to get like, higher up to like that level 15 to get your third adaptation, it gets a little bit more time consuming. It takes a little bit more experience. So just some like balancing of race mechanisms and classes and stuff like that in the game. To get experience, to get XP, you can race in daily missions, do competitive races, breeding as male or female, and setting a name will even give you XP. So as well as attend a daily mission as a last athlete. And what that just means is there's 10 snails that can race in any race, any given race. And the last one to join, how I think it works is they need to pay the transaction fee for basically like signing the transaction for the race and confirming the race. So because of that, there's like some XP rewards, and there's also like a bonus reward in slime token for being the 10th snail to join a race. Here we talked about adaptation slots, more adaptation slots. So we'll go into reproduction really quick, which they have awesome names for. They call the breeding mechanism the incubator, and they call the crafting mechanism the laboratory, or even the microwave. So let's go into incubator first. Just like normal, you need a male and a female to get together. But what you can also do is you can have a female snail and buy a male genome off of the marketplace. Actually, let's look at that really quick. So here in the marketplace, you have snails you can choose from over here. And here you have genes. So you can pick one of these, studly male snail genes and use it to breed in the marketplace, in the incubation feature. And that way you can create a new snail. That way you can breed. So that's kind of an interesting little feature that they've, changed up or added to this game. Also, one thing to mention, one thing to know is that snails are hermaphrodites. And so you can actually change your snail's gender in the game. So I think a part of that is to incentivize people getting more than one snail. It gives you a bigger, incentive to get two snails because you're guaranteed to be able to breed those two snails if you have a male and a female, and you're guaranteed to have, if you want, a male and a female because you can change the gender of your snail. So that's kind of a cool little fact. As far as DNA crossing goes, there's sort of some complicated charts here. It takes some time getting used to. Essentially, they're telling you how they calculate a snail's family racing traits, class racing traits, generation, all these things that affect performance. We won't go into that into too much detail, but you can check out our white paper breakdown for more info. Okay, so for fees, this talks a little bit about breeding fees, incubation fees. These are all dynamic. They're done with algorithms that the team has come up with. Really neat. Let's move on to the laboratory. So in the laboratory, you can basically do a series of crafting mechanisms. This is not open yet. It will be open later. But essentially what you can do is burn your Snail NFT. So this is like the burning mechanism to keep sort of like the NFT inflation under control for the project. You can burn your snails and mint new snails. And the microwave feature, you'll be able to, throw an adaptation potion in with your snail into the microwave, and then that way you can evolve, a new adaptation or one of your unlocked adaptations. So we're assuming this is how this is going to work, but that could be kind of like a way to front run the leveling mechanism to be able to figure out your adaptations faster instead of waiting to level 5 or waiting to level 15 to unlock your adaptations. Okay, so for racing, there's a couple factors that affect racing outside of your snail's main racing traits. One of those is distance. So there's 9 different distances in the game. Your snail has 2 preferred trail distances, and to figure out that preferred trail distance, you actually have to go test and essentially take records, make some data about what your snail's trail preference actually is. So that's kept secret from you, and you need to actually kind of calculate what it is or get a feel for it. But we recommend just like writing down your finish time and what the trail distance was and a couple other stats to figure that out and to optimize your in-game rewards. Tracks also have conditions like we mentioned. There's like, forest, storm, fight, space, all that kind of stuff. We showed them here. Here's a bunch more of them here. You want to try to match your snail's adaptations, which you can see here in the bottom corner. You want to match the snail's adaptations with the conditions of the racetrack, just like that. As far as map themes go, there are a couple different themes. They call them locations or maps. They're actually listed as events. Basically, those are just kind of fun, cosmetic, different maps for the snails to race. As far as races go, there are 2 different types of races. One is daily mission. Daily missions you can do currently 6 times per day. It was 4 times per day with I think a 6-hour cooldown or something like that. And now it's 6 times per day with a 4-hour cooldown. We'll show you how that works in a bit. For participants, there's 10 participants. There's no entry fee. The reward pool is dynamic and calculated a little bit later. You don't have to worry too much about it, but the rewards are not as much as the competitive races, but it also costs nothing to race in, and you should be optimizing it in that you are doing your daily missions as often as they're up and just, not leaving your snail too idle, or else you're not, winning free rewards basically. The distance is all treasury run distance. We'll show you that later, but you do not figure out your snail's trail preference or which distance it likes from doing daily missions because it's all the same trail distance. So you'll need to do competitive races to figure that out, and we'll kind of show you that in a bit. As far as rewards, like we said here, the winner, takes the lion's share at 25%, runner-up takes 20% on down from there. The last, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places take only 5% of the rewards, but it's neat that that you still get some rewards based on your finish in daily missions. As far as competitive races go, competitive races do have an entry fee, which varies between a total of 5 and 100 slime tokens, and that will be changed based on one of the algorithms in the game, which we won't get into. As far as the prize pool, it is 9 times of the entry fee, and that's a total entry fee. So they'll break that down a little bit later down here. You can race at any time, and you can actually enter at, as many snails as you want, or you can race one snail in as many competitive races as you want at any time. So that's a big difference between competitive races and daily missions. And the distances in competitive races are all 9 distances are possible in competitive races. As far as rewards go, you can see the rewards breakdown here. A little bit about the ranking system. There is an ELO ranking system. You figure out your ELO based on the first 5 races, daily mission races, and you cannot race in competitive races until you do your first 5 daily mission races. There's different leagues, which is kind of fun, kind of interesting. Not all of them are unlocked right now. Platinum and gold are for sure unlocked. Down here it says diamond, master, and bronze are disabled. It doesn't mention silver, so we're going to have to double check on silver. ELO rankings are calculated here if you want to check them out. For speed, these are the traits that we mentioned earlier. So remember the snail has 4 main traits, which are family and genes, purity, class, and generation. So the 4 traits for the snail, just out of the box, when you buy a snail, the 4 traits that affect its racing performance are at the 2 at the top here and the 2 at the bottom here. So that's something to keep in mind when you're thinking about, buying a snail, not only buying a snail, but how much different factors affect race performance. For example, adaptations here, which is something that is randomly given to your snail, but that you find out from leveling up or unlock by leveling up and unlock by doing competitive racing, they say is, targeted or determined by decision making here. Same with trail preference. You find your trail preference by racing different distances. And by doing that, you can figure out what your snail's preferred trail preference is. So those have a weight of 4 stars in racing, which is going to be pretty heavy. It's going to be pretty important for racing. Genome coefficients is just sort of like the random factor. So they don't want, you don't want everything to be about like the breed of your snail, about, optimizing the game as soon as possible to figure out trail performance and, adaptations. A part of it also is a random luck factor. As far as snail economics go, there's a little bit about NFTs here. We talked about NFTs mostly. Token information is here. The token information seems mostly normal. We'll break that down in a longer video later for more specific information there. An interesting thing is that they do have targeted rewards emissions per month. So they will dynamically adjust the rewards that you win by doing races based on their emissions targets. So if they're hitting targets, if they're under targets, if they're over targets, they'll adjust for the next month and carry over from the previous month, and then adjust the rewards to basically hit those targets. So that's an interesting thing about their tokenomics. As far as the shop goes, later there will be fun shop features like banners, scrolls, emotes, which is definitely going to be the most hype, the most fun. Sprays, trails, visuals, all this kind of fun stuff. So it'll be exciting when that drops. That has not dropped yet. As far as fees go, this kind of says what they do with fees. They leave fees sort of up to the team to decide what they want to do with it later. We'll find out more about that at a later time. I wouldn't be too worried about this too much. I do want to look at, contracts and security real quick, just to show that they have listed all their game contracts. All this data is on chain, but it's nice to see it all here. So you can go into these and see their contracts for the game, see their contracts for the slime token, the NFTs, all those kinds of things are there. And they have had their Snail Trail NFT at least audited by Hacken. So it's good to see some security there. Okay. So like I said, if you want more detailed information, but in a quicker version than reading through the entire white paper, you can check out our Medium at GameFi 2 Eyes. So you can get all the information that you want and need there. You can check us out here. Here's our page. And aside from that, let's get into the game and let's start racing. All right, let's take a look.